Philadelphia, live from the Tasty Cake Studios. An Odyssey Sports Station. This is the WIP Morning Show with Joe DeCamara and John Ritchie on Sports Radio 94 WIP.
What's going on, everyone? Joe DeCamara and John Ritchie. It is 94 WIP. Great to be with you, off and rolling on this Wednesday morning with the Phillies. They got on the right side last night, and they really got on it early. You know, jumping on that Blue Jays pitcher, 6 runs in the first, and obviously a great job of the Phils, Sanchez as well. So we'll get into the Phils as they bounce back in a very good way. And Bryce Harper, of course, played, which was outstanding.
And homered.
That's right. Vic Fangio, he spoke a lot yesterday, so did others. We'll get to that. There's a lot from the Vic Fangio thing yesterday on the Eagles' defense, obviously, for the coming season. Look, those two things, heavy focus today. Some other things as well with you at 215-592-9494. Rich.
Hello, Joe.
Hello there, Johnny.
A chicken once lived for 18 months without a head.
What?
I mean, yeah, that is a what?
Back in the 1940s, Mike the chicken.
I don't buy it.
But how many wings did he have?
Yeah, well,
I love when Joe is just like, nope, I'm out on this.
I am out on that one. I mean, what's the according to who? What idiot? Really? Really?
Great reaction.
And John, you report this stuff to the public. Like, who are you?
Nice use of report.
I'll tell you who he's not. He's not Edward R.
The
Morrow.
original.
See, James.
Good night and good luck.
Did anybody under the age of 75 get the Edward R. Morrow?
They should, They should.
They should. All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Boring people get that.
Yeah, I know. All right, so no, not boring. Older. All right, so we got a lot to do. Like, really nice job by the Phils. Bryce right back in the swing of it. Trey with big damage last night. So and you know what? I mean, to me, and it's great to talk about the hitters, and they did wonderful work. But starting pitching. I mean, you get a great starting pitch game, and they did from Sanchez, 6 innings, 1 run. That's typically a formula to win, and it worked. And so I hope people feel a little bit more calmed down. Look, in the end, we're going to find out in October how this team sinks or swims. I mean, the reality is the prior 4 games shows you things can end fast because you can lose 2 or 3 games in a row, or in this case, 4 games in a row, and get zipped out. But I will contend, and I will maintain contending, that with this starting pitching, this is going to be a Phillies team that's going to be a team to be reckoned with in the postseason. Now, they might be reckoned to knock down 3 days, but they also might go for 3.5, 4 weeks and win the whole thing. I was happy with the Phils last night. Obviously, you can weigh in 215-592-9494. We encourage you to do so. It was a great job
Trey's
by Bryce.
defense looks a lot better when
Who?
Trey's defense looks a lot better when he just goes yard
right.
and then goes yard.
And Bomer with maybe his best defensive play of the season last night.
Maybe ever. How about
maybe
that? Was awesome.
Ever. Maybe ever. All right. So the whole
Alex
Phils thing,
Bohm.
the whole Phils thing is on the table. And jump in at 215-592-9494. Let's get to the Eagles, John. So if everyone listening right now missed the Vic Fangio press conference, it was a pretty lengthy one for the offseason. We're going to play big chunks of it as we move through the show. There's a lot to get into, from Jahad Campbell to Cooper DeJean to the safeties and the cornerbacks and like all this stuff. So know that we'll be playing it as we move forward. John, let's just start with this. I'm going to throw this out to you and everyone at 215-592-9494. What stood out to you the most? Because this is debatable what the biggest headline was.
I learned all sorts of stuff.
What hit you the most, John?
Vic Fangio does not sound concerned with base at all. He went so far as to say, when he was asked about Jordan Davis coming back, "Oh, that wasn't my decision." He said, "Well, how did he say it exactly?" "Oh, that's not me. That's
how he makes
Howie.
those calls, yeah, which he does.
I didn't have anything to do with that decision. That's Howie's. Bringing him back, that's Howie's choice." He got almost, like game show hosty up there. "Hey, how many snaps you think we were in base last year?"
Right.
He's asking the press conference.
Yep.
"How many snaps you think we were in base last year?" And the answer was 160. And when you look elsewhere, I mean, that number, I guess it depends on how you add it up, but somewhere close to 88% of the time they were, in in base.
Yep.
Not in base. They were in nickel or dime. Sorry. They were in base 12% of the time.
Yep.
Think about that.
Yeah, it's not much.
12%
so what
of
you're
the time.
saying is,
so that's Jordan Davis at nose tackle. That's when you have him inserted into the game. I thought it was fascinating when we found out that last season, a lot of why they were in nickel so much is because of the way Cooper DeJean burst onto the scene and his comfortability and his ability to play that nickel spot. Their defense permutated into a lot more nickel, including the edge guys liked rushing from a nickel DN spot more than the wider base 3-4 spot, which
Wait.
I thought. I don't know.
John, you got really deep there.
I was not expecting any of this.
All right, let me just jump in, ladies and gentlemen. The single biggest thing that stood out from the press conference yesterday is that Jahad Campbell, the rookie first-round draft pick, may not be ready for the start of the season.
And Nakobe Dean definitely won't.
Yeah, we're going to get to that in a second.
Wow.
Number one, Campbell might not be ready. Now, Vic Fangio didn't say it, but what he did say is he's not. But what he did, hold on. But what he did say is that Jahad Campbell's not going to practice till August. And by the way, he didn't say early August. He didn't say late August. He didn't say mid-August. He just said August, which obviously means it could be any portion of August, which if it is mid to late August, there's a really good chance Jahad Campbell's not going to be ready for the start. So just know with all the and look, guys, I'm not going gloom and doom here. That's not where I'm at today. But let's start drilling down on some realities. The Eagles got an incredibly talented player at a spot 31 that they otherwise would not have gotten him, because teams pass on him because he's injured. He's still injured. So just know that going in.
He's going to be an inside linebacker for us this year.
Yeah, we'll get to that also. But just know going in, we don't know when Jahad Campbell's going to play because the Eagles don't even know when he's going to play. That's number one.
Well, we have a great idea that once training camp starts and he's out there and able to play, we'll feel good about the fact that
we don't
know if Jahad
Campbell's not going to start the season. My guess. No. If I had to bet, I would bet Jahad Campbell probably isn't playing until week 4 or something like that. If I had to bet on it, that's my guess.
Because he's not practicing.
He can't practice till August. Johnny's a rookie, too. He's never been in this system, all that.
So that's number one.
That does not mean...
Hold on.
It doesn't mean that he's unable to do anything. The fact that he's not practicing.
He's not practicing. All right, number 2, Nakobe Dean. James, you heard the Nakobe Dean thing. Frame this for those that missed it.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see Nakobe until mid-season or later. If I had to bet. Like, he used the phrase, we're not going to see Nakobe for a while, is what Vic said.
Like, think of it this way. He put August on Jahad Campbell.
Exactly.
He put no month on Nakobe Dean.
And we know that's a bad injury. It happened in January.
Yeah.
I would, honestly, I think there's a better chance Nakobe Dean doesn't play this year than he makes a major impact for the Eagles this year. I would guess November, December, come back, but then you're coming in mid-season off this. I don't think Nakobe Dean can be counted on for much this year.
I agree with that. So put another way, the biggest thing, if you want to boil those two things down into one, is that they've got a linebacker issue.
They're thin. Trot Jr. is the starter right now, right?
Trot Jr. is the starter. Right now, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is the starter. So I'll say this. It was a noteworthy press conference for early June to find out not one but 2 potential Eagles starters may not start the season. And I agree, James, with your assertion and Ray, your assertion. Nakobe Dean, who, we all came to love last year after a couple of years. I mean, we liked him because you could tell he was admirable. But for a couple of years, he was not good. Okay, let's just be candid. Not good. And by the way, also not healthy at times. Is again not healthy. James, to your point, it's like a more serious injury than tearing your knee, for which he could come back probably much sooner, or at least sooner, maybe not much. So this is a situation.
You're talking about Nakobe Dean?
Nakobe.
He's talking about ACL.
Yeah,
he did tear his knee, technically. He's talking about an ACL versus a patellar, is the point.
Yeah.
Patellar's way worse.
Yeah, so the reality is that they got an issue there. And it'll be fascinating to see how they juggle this around. Yeah, I think Jeremiah
Trotter have Smile Mondon. He did mention smile.
That make you happy?
He's an inside linebacker that he actually said his name in this press conference. Yeah. You're making like we got no one else. There are other guys on this team who play linebacker.
Well, it's not good to have two potential starters already, not ready to rock and roll in June.
We don't know that I'm excited to see Jihad out there, and that's August. That's training camp. They're waiting until training camp to let him practice. That's the way it is. He had surgery. It's okay. It's not. I don't want to be alarmist. I think you guys are being alarmist about Jihad Campbell.
I'm just reporting the facts.
No, we're just saying that don't expect him to start the season. Yeah. Like, this is not alarmist. He's still got a long career.
John, you expected Bryce Harper to play last week, and they lost 4 straight games without him.
Like, you got to admit, sometimes you expect players to play when they can't play.
Okay,
the Eagles are very cautious with injuries.
And I do expect this kid to want to get out there.
It's not a matter of
in John's defense, Cooper DeJean missed all of training camp last summer.
And he played great.
But it wasn't a planned thing, right?
But not every rookie does that.
He wasn't a starter till after the bye.
Exactly.
Cooper DeJean was. That's my point. I think John Campbell could be a major player for the Eagles this year. I just don't expect him to start the season as a starter. That's it.
Yeah, Vic Fangio, laid out yesterday. It's not all smooth. So look, we'll take your reaction on all of it. What do you make? I mean, it's interesting to have two different players at the same position group, if you will. And as John said, Jihad Campbell, as Vic Fangio indicated yesterday, expected to start when he does get in there from an inside linebacker standpoint, not edge rusher guy. So that was noteworthy. And then the Cooper DeJean thing yesterday, they clearly don't know when in base defense where he's going to play. It could be outside corner, it could be safety. Now, as John indicated, Vic Fangio's basically saying, listen, we don't even play that type of defense that much. Let's not make that big a deal of it. But he did indicate to a large extent where Cooper DeJean plays is going to be based, and this is interesting, we talked about this last week as a possibility, based on how the corners and the safeties do essentially like against each other. Like, it's not just corner versus corner or safety versus safety. It's corner group versus safety group. Where are they best? Where are they weakest? And Cooper DeJean might fill in where they're weakest.
If they're not good, he's going to play.
You got to remember what it sounds like. What we're factoring here is who's playing linebacker also. Yeah, because these players, these smaller players, when we're in dime, you're throwing a linebacker off the field and you're having a DB come onto the field to play linebacker like Cooper's so great at doing. So last year we went to smaller because we were so good at doing that because Cooper DeJean can guard a guy in both directions in the nickel. In the slot, he became a linebacker. This is what we're talking about. The linebacker position, the small linebacker spot is what he was so great at last year and part of why we won the Super Bowl. And so what we're hearing from Vic Fangio is like he's becoming a staple and we're going to build everything around the deficiencies of others where he can fill in.
Yeah, no, he's going to be out there a ton.
It's like a permutating the defense as it develops, like it did last season in season. We're going to watch it develop again this offseason with the new guys.
My gut feeling is that Cooper DeJean is more likely to play safety than outside corner. But we'll see. I mean, it's clearly to be determined, but I think they're weaker.
Well, that's a big factor.
At safety than corner, and I tend to think Cooper, and he's a great tackler, so he can play safety at an effective level. I kind of think that's where he'll be, 15, 20% of the snaps.
Vic Fangio insisted on throwing Tristan McCollum's name in there into the mix. When that's the competition, Tristan McCollum, Sidney Brown. Right. I don't know. It doesn't feel like that's stiff competition the same way it is on the outside with the corners.
We're going to play for you a lot of this Vic Fangio audio. It's very interesting. Obviously, you can weigh in today, 215-592-9494. Also, your chance to win Phillies tickets. We'll get to that. We'll go through more of the Phillies game last night. Obviously, you can weigh in on a terrific bounce-back victory by the Phils. So all of it on the table today, 215-592-9494.